Hi guys, it's me, yours truly, Beverly Terrell Johnson, lifestyle health coach and consultant, registered nurse for over 33 years, known as the uncommon flexitarian, and the creator of Eat What. Eat What is my weekly program that gives you resourceful information, education, and connection to many of the USDA and FDA food safety and health concerns. Now, I just don't wish to alarm you, but I also desire to give you solutions, concrete solutions to build your immunity, to build your overall health so that you can look good, feel good, and have a more positive outlook on life. Welcome. Welcome to another edition of Eat What. Remember, as a member of Eat What, you never have to be concerned about missing an episode. Why? Because one of the privileges of being a member is that you can go directly into the members area, click on the word files, or click on the word video, and you will see everything that we have ever done since the beginning. That's right. You never have to be concerned with every article that we've ever done, every booklet, every bit of information that we have discussed here is available to you and for your enrichment. So please, when life and life's responsibilities preclude you from being here live, just know that you haven't missed out on anything. You can read and be enriched, build your immunity, build your overall health, share, and like I said, you can look good, feel good, and have a more positive outlook on life. Now, let's dive into today's program. Let's talk about salt and pepper. Let's talk about salt and pepper. Of course, as you can tell by the title, is speaking about our two most common ingredients in the kitchen, both salt and pepper. Today, we're going to talk mainly about salt. And because salt is such an extensive subject, we're probably going to spend two programs on salt just in and of itself. Okay? So let's get started. Let's dive in. Let's talk about salt and pepper, but we're focusing on salt. Okay, guys, do you realize that on average in the United States that we here as Americans eat at least at least 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. Yes, and I want to distinguish salt from sodium. Sodium is that component of salt, salt being a compound of sodium and chloride, okay? Salt is a compound of sodium and chloride. Both compounds are found on your periodic table, sodium being the capital N small letter A, chloride being the capital letter C, and the small letter L. When a positive, which would be sodium, and a negative ion, chloride, come together as all positive and negatives when they come together, then a salt is produced. Sodium chloride is what we normally call table salt. And statistics say that Americans eat at least 3,400 milligrams of this salt per day. Now, it is the sodium within sodium chloride that gives us so many of the negative health entities that we associate with high blood pressure, diabetes, other heart diseases, and all the negatives, dehydration, all the negatives that have to do with salt. When your medical professions, when your medical professionals, your medical doctor, doctor of osteopathy, nurse practitioner, herbalist, all those on your healthcare team are cautioning you against adding salt or eating more salt. They are cautioning you against the sodium content that is found within the compound sodium chloride. 3,400 milligrams, according to the statistics, are at least what Americans are eating per day. What is recommended? Only 2,300. So as you can see, just by the numbers, we are way, way over. And that's not if you've added any salt. That's not even if you've added any. So let's bring this into perspective. 2,300 milligrams 2,300 milligrams of sodium is equivalent to 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of table salt. So if this is the recommended amount of sodium that we are supposed to ingest on a daily basis, 2,300 or less, because you can always go less, 2,300 milligrams or less, then 1 teaspoon would take care of us for the entire day, or for the average American, according to statistics. Now, just looking at those numbers, how much sodium are you consuming? This is where reading your package labels gets to be so very, very important, and your consciousness regarding foods that you are eating, whether you're preparing them yourself or whether you're eating takeout, even if it's of the healthy variety, you really have to pay attention to what you are consuming. 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of salt is what's recommended or less. So if you're eating, if you're eating food that you're adding salt to it, or maybe you're eating some packaged food, you have to really, really consider that sometimes what you're eating already has more than twice the amount of sodium that is recommended. Therefore, you are just basically launching yourself into ill health. So you really, really, really have to be careful. You really have to be careful. Reading your labels, reading what you are ingesting into and what you're considering bringing into your body is very, very important. And please don't be, and of course, talk with your health professionals about this, but caution yourself against, well, I'll just eat this and then I'll just drink more water. That doesn't necessarily get rid of everything in your system, particularly if you had a diet or a food fare or food habits that have had sodium compiling all throughout your life. You really have to be careful. And a lot of times when people really take note of the amount of sodium in their system and they really start monitoring and paying attention, they will find out that they're basically eating plant-based foods in order to allow your body to rid itself of the accumulated sodium down through the years. So if you're finding this out for yourself, don't be alarmed. Do not be alarmed. But of course, talk to your healthcare professionals, your medical doctor, doctor of osteopathy, nurse practitioners, herbalists, all those who are involved in your health. But you want to get the right amount of sodium, but chances are taking yourself off of sodium, no adding, and I mean by no adding salt, staying away from dinners and food fairs that would be takeout that would be loaded with sodium, or eating those snacks or those quick items that would just add detriment to that regime, then you could, by eliminating that, you can achieve a healthier life and lifestyle just by monitoring that alone. And of course, like I said, get in touch with your healthcare team so they can lead and guide you if you're concerned about that. Some of the negative effects of sodium, as we all well know: hypertension, heart disease, swelling. I want to say edema, but swelling in your joints, your hands, and your feet. And of course, as you get older, it does not get better; it gets worse. Some aspects of diabetes and other problems lead into this, and of course, all of the negative effects can be managed, can be regulated, can be even eliminated if we just watch what we ate. But this, we know about that part, but I wanted to get into the types of salt that are available to us. Are you aware that there are 14 different types of salt in the world? I was not aware until I started doing the research. I knew that there were many, but I did not know that there were 14. And there may be more, but my research for this program produced 14 types of salt. And we'll go through some of them and some of the pros and the cons, and we'll continue on, like I said, if necessary, for next week. All right. Oh, let me just mention that salts are not organic. Salts are mineral. I get asked that question quite a bit. Salts are minerals. They are not organic. To be certified organic means you would have to come from a living source, and minerals are available, but the minerals are not alive. Therefore, salts, although they occur naturally, they are not organic. Okay, so salt is inorganic. Inorganic. If you ever had that question. All right, the most rare salt, the most rare salt in the world, and I thought this was interesting, is and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's from Japan, and it is the Amabito no Moshio. Moshio. The Amabito no Moshio. It is a seaweed salt, or it is also called an ancient sea salt, and it is perhaps the world's rarest and most expensive salt, running at about $45 a pound, according to the research that I found out. It is only produced in Japan, and it is so expensive because it follows a very, very, very strict processing method. And this salt it's collected from the Seto Inland Sea and is left out to evaporate slightly. It's seaweed that's left out to evaporate slightly, and through this process, it gets to be very, very, very refined, and it is considered a delicacy. Produced only in Japan, $45 per pound or more, depending upon how much you desire to purchase. It is very, very extravagant, and like I said, rather a delicacy. But I thought that was very, very interesting. The newest salt that I am familiar with is green salt. Now, I have never heard of green salt until I started preparing for this program. But green salt is dehydrated. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Salicornia. Dehydrated salicornia. Salicornia is also called the sea bean or the samphire plant. It is found in the water. It is found in the water, and it is marketed as a very healthy salt alternative. Salt alternatives are very, very important, especially if you want to combat the negative incidences of sodium. And from what I've read in the research, this green salt is able to do just that. Now, the Salicornia, as told according to research, has 50% less sodium, 50% less sodium than table salt. So already you're starting out very, very well. Now, how is green salt made? Well, the Salicornia is dried and powdered. It's dehydrated. Salicornia can be eaten without it being in this state of dehydration. You can eat it fresh, I understand. And the green salt can be found at some of your stores, such as Trader Joe's or Walmart and other health stores. So if you see some out there, be sure to grab it, try it, let us know. Green salt also contains 11% of protein, 20% fiber, And it has potassium and B3 vitamins in it. Let me see. Oh yes, it can also assist in detoxifying the body, increasing your ability to digest your foods, and it can help in weight loss. Also, it is said that it could help in inducing sleep and improve your circulation. It is used also as a diuretic and a medical plant. It has antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor properties. So if those of you all want to talk to your herbalist or perhaps your doctor of osteopathy, someone who is aware of salicornia, if you have tumors in your body, you might want to start applying or eating or seasoning your food with green salt. And this may help for your tumors to go in the reverse. But of course, like I said, talk with your healthcare professionals. And it helps with it also helps with diabetic properties that help, that come as a result of hypertension, or as what table salt would help to do. It helps to correct the negative effects of table salt, or it can maybe help mediate. But again, talk to your healthcare professional. But that's the newest salt that I am familiar with. It is mass produced in Mexico, and like I said, that through the research, I have found that you can purchase this salt at your favorite health food stores, Trader Joe's, Walmart, etc. Talk to your healthcare professional about this salt before trying it. Of course, we've already talked about table salt. Table salt is our most common form of salt. Table salt is one of the most common form of salt that we are accustomed to, and that is the salt that we often are, as I mentioned in the beginning, are told to cut back upon. The sodium content in the salt is the culprit. And again, just to reiterate really, really quickly, we only need 2,300 milligrams or less, So let's just give you some food for thought about regular table salt. Kosher salt, or koshering salt, is a salt that is used widely in the process of kosher meats, kosher products, but it is also used as an all-purpose cooking salt. Kosher salt is also used as an all-purpose cooking salt. So if you're using kosher salt, according to the research, the crystals are much larger than table salt, and it is more coarse. However, as a regular table salt would have iodine, most table salts have iodine added to them to combat the negative entities of hypothyroidism and other such diseases. Kosher salt does not have iodine in it. So if you're in need if you have a condition where iodine reserves are low, or you have a condition where iodine reserves are completed, you would need to replace that iodine if you desire to use kosher salt. Okay, so kosher salt. Kosher salt is used in a lot of recipes, and like I said, it is often referred to as the all-purpose cooking salt. All righty, all right. Sea salt. We've all heard of sea salt. So you have sea salt on foods, on potato chips. My time, my spoke in our program last week, spoke about the healthier potato chip. That is the potato chip that is cooked in avocado oil and seasoned with sea salt. So sea salt. What is sea salt? Sea salt comes from the sea. It definitely does. It comes from the sea. It is evaporated and usually unrefined. Is very, very coarse, very, very coarse, a form of salt. Now, there are many. Sea salt is a wide category of salts that fall underneath sea salt. So you have to study in each and every one of them. In particular, if you're trying to find a particular sea salt that is more agreeable to what you desire to eat, the saltiness and taste, etc., etc. So sea salts. What do we know about sea salts? Some people believe that sea salts are healthier than your regular table salt, and and the sea salt contains your minerals. It does contain minerals, your potassium, your iron, and your calcium. Now, your table salt has most of the nutrients removed through processing. So a lot of people believe that because sea salt has these nutrients in a small amount or in trace form, that it is actually deemed more nutritious than your table salt. According to research, the truth really is that is it's really not that much more nutritious than table salt, only because you would have to consume so much to get a real nutritional value. But of course, you can get the sources of iron, potassium, and calcium from alternate sources. So please, looking to replace your potassium or your iron and your calcium through eating or using more sea salt is definitely something you should discuss with your healthcare professionals. All right. All right. Now, sea salt granules are much larger than table salt. Table salt, as we mentioned before, 2,300 milligrams per teaspoon of sodium, and sea salt has 2,000 milligrams of sodium per teaspoon. So it's less sodium than table salt. But your sea salt, and look at this here. Because a lot of people might jump to this and say, okay, well, 300 milligrams less sodium is better. Yes, it is better. But this is how you arrive at less sodium. The granules in sea salt are much larger than the granules in regular table salt. So there are fewer granules that can fit on the teaspoon of measurement when you're talking about how many teaspoons compared to table salt you're consuming. So just to let you know, the granules of table salt are much, much smaller, therefore more of them fit on the teaspoon. In comparison, the larger granules of sea salt, less of them fit on this same teaspoon of measurement. Okay. All righty. All right. So we already mentioned this. Okay. But some believe that sea salt is much healthier than table salt, and that it increases your ability to digest your foods, and that may be true. There is some research about that, but it's not very, very clear as to particularly sea salt, or is it the property of salt itself that aids in digestion. So you definitely want to discuss that with your healthcare team. Your sea salt bath. This is a question I get asked often as well. Your sea salt bath does decrease the dryness of your skin, and it does decrease inflammation. In fact, the National Eczema Foundation has recommended 1 cup of salt be added to bath water as a remedy for the skin irritation that is released as a part of being affected by eczema. 1 cup of salt added to bath water. Definitely something else you can discuss with your healthcare team. And if that helps you, I'm really happy about that, because eczema is a condition where there's a lot of inflammation, a lot of skin irritation, and if that helps, then that's just wonderful. Okay, the Dead Sea salt, a very, very an area in the world of the Dead Sea. A lot of people may have heard about the Dead Sea. It is salts from the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea have an extremely high concentration of salts in them. Very, it makes it, which makes living things, it's impossible for living things to survive there. So it's a very, very high concentration of salt, but this salt has been noted to be extremely good for skin hydration, and it decreases skin roughness. So, just to give you a few pros and cons regarding your sea salts, and of course there are others. I definitely want to investigate this more, doing more research on sea salt in and of itself, and see the compare and contrast the medicinal benefits of the sea salts. But again, talking to your healthcare professional, is someone very knowledgeable about the sea salts, would be your best bet. Pink Himalayan salt is the purest form. Our next salt we're discussing is the purest form of salt in the world, and it is harvested from the, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correct, Kura salt mine in the Himalayan mountains of Pakistan. Okay, the Himalayan mountains of Pakistan. It is used in kitchen is used in spas. It contains 84% of natural minerals and elements, the natural minerals and elements that are found in the body. Pink Himalayan salt is very, very popular among vegans, vegetarians, and those who are very concerned about their sodium content. It is a salt that you might desire to check out. Pink Himalayan salt. It is the purest form of salt in the world. The purest form of salt in the world. And it does contain 84 natural minerals and elements that are found in the body. I do believe I said percent. I didn't mean percent. But the 84 natural elements and minerals that are found in the body. So pink Himalayan salt is another salt substitute that you can try to help you with. You need the saltiness of taste, but you also need the health benefits in your body. All right. Rounding out a discussion, it's almost time to wrap it up. Time has gone so fast. The Celtic sea salt. This is another sea salt. Celtic sea salt. It's from the bottom of the tidal pools of France, and it is moist. It is chunky. It is grayish in color. And it is a sea salt which is very, very popular, very, very popular, especially over there in France. And it is another salt. It is another salt. If you're into trying different sea salts, this is another salt that might benefit you. That may benefit you in your health journey. In your health journey. Wow. We've looked at 7 salts. That's 7 salts today that we've looked at. Wow, the most rare salt, Amabito no Mochio, only produced in Japan. Most expensive salt in the world, $45 a pound, according to the research that I have found. And the newest salt that I discovered was the dehydrated salicornia, also called green salt. So this is a salt that has 50% less sodium than table salt. It has all the saltiness, but 50% less of the harmful effects of sodium per teaspoon. Okay, per teaspoon, and it does have proteins in it. It does have fiber. It does have zinc. It has potassium, B vitamins. You can eat it as a plant. You can eat it as a part of stir fry, and it does help in detoxifying the body, according to the research that I discovered. So green salt is a very, very good salt substitute. Again, this is a new salt for me. And I think it's worth checking out. Definitely worth checking out. Of course, we talked about table salt. Table salt. Table salt is the ingredient we most find in our kitchens and on our tables. 3,400 milligrams, according to research, is way too much. Way too much. 3,500 milligrams of sodium is way too much for Americans to consume. Recommended by the USDA that we eat 2,300 or less milligrams of sodium, which would be 1 teaspoon of table salt per day. So this only lets us know that we have to really, really, if you're talking about health, you're talking about focusing on decreasing your dependency upon salt. If for no other reason, then this would definitely be numbers that you want to pay attention to. Look at your labels, packaged food. And we always say it all the time. You have to be careful when you're eating out at restaurants. You have to be careful when you're um, eating with friends, or you go over to friends' homes, or even when you're preparing food yourself. That little bit of additional salt that you're adding could be more than what your body recommends. Okay, more than what is recommended, more than what is healthy for you. When you compare that to other salts, such as like the green salt, which has 50% less sodium, but has all the saltiness and then all the health benefits that the green salt produces, then really you really want to start managing your health a little better. You want to work away from table salt, and try some more of these more healthier options. Kosher salt, also called kosherine salt, is called the all-purpose cooking salt. Large granules, usually used to draw out the fluids within meat, is a kosherine salt, but it's also used for cooking. Also used for cookings. And the only problem here, if there is a problem, if you have a condition such as hypothyroidism, then you need to get your supplement of iodine from another source. It doesn't mean that you need to go back to table salt, and this means that you need to eat more foods or absorb your iodine from another source. Sea salt. It is evaporated and usually unrefined, and it is coarse in its texture. And there's a broad term. Sea salt is a broad term for many, many, many salts out there. Pink Himalayan salt, the purest form of salt in the world, the purest form of salt in the world, used in kitchens, used in spas, has 84 minerals and elements that are found in the body, and Celtic sea salt. Only 7 salts of the 14 salts that I was able to research that go around the world. Next week, we talk about the other 7 salts. The other 7 salts, health benefits, and I will research more pros and cons about the salts that are available to you. But again, salt and sodium. Remember, salt is just the chemical product of having a positive ion and a negative ion. Sodium is positive, chloride is negative, found on the periodic table. This is a byproduct of a compound coming together. That's called a salt. It is the sodium content in salt that is the most damaging and is responsible for all of our health concerns. So talk with your healthcare professionals, seek out remedies. So just even if you're not having any issues currently, just get accustomed to eating more varieties of different salts to season your food, and do your best not to add anything. Even in your crackers, there's saltines, even those little specks of salt. Just an addition to anything that you're doing. So we just want to be mindful of what we're putting into our bodies. We want to be mindful of our overall health. because everything that negatively attacks our bodies decreases our immune system, it decreases our overall health, and it causes disease. But like I said, that's all we have time for today, folks. We'll look at the other 7 salts next week on Let's Talk About Salt and Pepper. And we'll learn more about the pros and the cons and how you can get in touch with a healthier diet using these ingredients. All right, until next time, thank you for watching as always. And I'm wishing you health, I'm wishing you joy, and I'm always wishing you that you would look good, that you would feel good, and you would be enriched by everything that we said here, everything that we're doing here, and you have a more positive outlook on life. I'll see you next time, okay? Bye bye.